Hey, hello everyone. I hope you guys could all hear me. Get started. Catherine is joining as well. Okay. Hello everyone. Start. I'll call this to order at 12:42 p.m. Starting with the territorial acknowledgement, we respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the traditional and ceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Solitude, Coquitlam, and Catskill nations. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we're currently situated on occupied territories. Okay, moving on, starting with the internal roll call attendance.
Pronouns he, him, all my access needs are met, and I am in the office.
Great. VP Finance.
Pronoun she, her, all access needs are met, thank you.
Okay. VP External. I think he's going through
VP External. Just going through security. Access needs are that my video and mic might be off for a little while.
Awesome, sounds good. VP Equity. VP Equity. Oh, hey Chloe. She says she's trying to eat. She'll be in the office very soon. VP Events.
Hi, this is Brian. Pronoun he, him, his. All access needs are met.
Thank you. VP UA.
Names Rishu, he, him pronouns, all access needs are met.
Thank you. I think we have some guests. Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. She, her pronouns, all access needs met. Just here for the SES presentation.
Thank you. Ayo. Ayo. I don't know where it is. I will move on. Operations Manager.
Cindy, she, her pronouns, access needs are met.
Admin Assistant.
Shreya, she, her pronouns, all access needs are met.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to our consent agenda, be resolved to adopt the consent agenda. Actually, we do not have a consent agenda, so skipping that. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda, be resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. I move. I need a second. Internal seconds. Floor is open to amendments and lists. Any amendments or lists? Okay.
Do you want me to put my amendments as and or no?
You don't need to, because I had approved a motion before we left.
List.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. VP Internal.
I have an amendment. Two of them. The first is a presentation for the Science Undergraduate Society, FROSH. And then the second is a motion. And I will join the meeting to add it to the
in progress.
Okay, I'm guessing you move, Sam. I second. Anyone opposed to amending on the presentation from SUS and the amendment? Okay, seeing none, that's amended on. Any other list and amendments? Okay, seeing none. I'm gonna seek unanimous consent to adopt the agenda as amended. Seeing no dissent, amendment is carried unanimously. Moving on to our first item, which is the presentation from SUS. Catherine, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time today. I'll make this pretty short, but hi. If you didn't know, I'm Catherine. I'm the science representative, and this year I'm here to do the grant proposal presentation for this year's Frosh event. We've renamed it to the Week of Welcome to be more inclusive and stray away from the connotations that some of the American schools have negatively with the name Frosh. And the Week of Welcome includes our event as well as events from the 9 constituent departmental student unions. So this grant is really important to us to be able to ensure that the whole week is functioning properly, as well as all the basic needs of our attendees, such as the food and their comfort, are met. So who are we? Represent 4,000 plus students. You guys know this. I'm going to skip through this. Frosh has been a pretty big event historically. And in past years before COVID, it used to be a really big, crazy thing with like watermelon smashing, paint fight contests, things like that. It was kind of legendary within the science community. And we've struggled to bring back the same sort of energy and hype since we've come back from COVID. And therefore, we're really hoping to add in more interesting kind of activities this year to bring the hype back to first year students. I'll just play the first little bit of this video, but It used to be a very, very big thing, and we used to have a lot of attendees, around 100 every year. And in the past 2, 3 years, we've really struggled, even though we've tried to market as much as we could to first years through whether it be in-class presentations, using Discord, Instagram, any sort of social media. And we're really trying to bring back that sort of hype. How do I go to the next page? Anyways, so the schedule is a week-long event with departmental student unions taking up 1 day of each of the week. And SFSS is going to kick off the week on the weekend before with a day-long event. Full itinerary is going to come later. We've really tried to make sure that we're accounting for safety and accessibility, considering it's such a big event, and it runs kind of late to the night. And we'll make sure that after the event ends, we have all our volunteers walking students to whether it be their cars or transit home. And we're holding this on Burnaby campus, as we understand this is probably the most accessible option. We've ensured that our food options have vegan, gluten-free options, and an option to put dietary restrictions in the sign-up forms. And we have our student leaders who can provide this kind of safe environment. And we'll be doing volunteer training throughout the next few weeks to ensure that all our leaders are on board and understand how to best run the event. To the actual event. So this is going to start from 1 p.m. until 9 p.m. For the SFSS day-long event. And we're trying to pack this as much as possible with physical activities such as like tug of war, spike ball, water guns, water relay, and ensuring with all these physical activities, we're really trying to ensure that our attendees are well fed throughout the day. So one very big item in the grant that we're trying to up the budget for is with food to ensure that all students are safe, energized, as we also have heard that recently there's been an increase in incidents of fainting within the science labs, especially with these science students coming into university with a new schedule, becoming a lot more hectic. We understand that a lot of them kind of just like forget to eat and, kind of don't pay attention to the health of their daily lives. And we want to make sure that they are healthy and energized throughout our event. So for the budget, we were approved for around $3,000 of the initial $8,000 that we had proposed. We've gone back to our budget and tried to decrease a lot of the other line items, especially with merch. We've decreased it by almost $2,000, understanding that that was the biggest portion of our cost and it is not the most necessary. However, the rest of these, a lot of them remain the same. The biggest expense that we are hoping to up is with food. We were previously approved 5,000 from the around 1,300 that we need. And this is going to be food for the around 100 attendees for both afternoon snack and dinner and sort of miscellaneous food throughout the day. Again, ensuring that everyone's well energized, as well as the merch, because for merch, we understand that students having this memorabilia, wearing it around the campus can further increase visibility for the SFSS and SFSS, considering we do have sponsor logos that will be printed onto our merch. And it's just a very nice thing for first years to have, especially if we're doing a water fight throughout the day. If students forget to bring an extra set of clothes, we will have this merchandise for them to stay comfortable for the rest of the night. So we understand that execs also only have the ability to approve up to $5,000 in grants. We've lowered our grant by 37.4% from last year, and this totals to $6,234.83. SFSS can contribute our contingency fund, which is around $600 from external, and further contribute another around $700 from core. We understand that for the standard for events, student unions usually contribute 10% from core. Considering our original budget was $8,000, we've decreased to $6,000. We can definitely still afford this amount. And that leaves the remaining amount, $5,000, that we're hoping to get approved from execs. Furthermore, we understand that from the last council meeting, when CSSS brought up their Frosh grant, they were initially approved for around $5,000. And considering that our science Frosh is representative of the entire science faculty, we're hoping, and is around a similar scale, we're hoping to get a similar budget approved. That's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Catherine. Um, I will open up the floor to questions or clarification. That could be from staff or exec. Cindy, go ahead.
Yeah, Catherine, just a question. Were you hoping to get the difference of $5,000 on top of the existing grant that was already approved?
Sorry, we no longer need an extra $5,000. So the difference shown here, if you look at the very bottom corner, is only $3,039.53. We have decreased our budget to 6,000. So with the 3,000 provided, we would only need another 3,000.
Okay, yeah, because anything that's approved here under that account would just replace anything that was approved previously. So you would just get as a whole.
Yes.
So
5,000 total.
question. So what's the new total amount? Like if we're to include the grant that was approved last week and what the new ask is, what's the total amount?
I would have to, sorry, I'm going to really quickly double check. The total amount as of now is, I don't know if I can, the total amount as of now is this number. The total amount that we had submitted for the grant is around $8,000. I can find the exact amount if you give me a minute, if you need it.
So so just to clarify, instead of how much was approved last week, Sam?
3,000. It was 3,195.
Okay. So instead of 3,001 something, you guys are asking for 5,000 instead in total in grant.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. That's good to know. Any other questions? I see a couple of lists. Rishu and then Simmer and then Sam.
Just to clarify for the merch, you mentioned that you'd be putting the logos of the sponsors. So so explicitly, is there gonna be an SFSS logo on its own, or is it gonna be like SFSS us or something like that?
How we usually do our merch, I will have to clarify with Chanel, or if you want to ask her directly, is we'll have like the logo in the front and then the back we'll have our sponsor. So it'll be SFSS, any sort of Wise Prep is probably going to be there. I honestly don't think anyone else is going to be there because our other sponsors haven't gotten back to us in time.
And how much money are you getting from the other sponsors?
Wise Prep, I'm gonna have to double check. Wise Prep historically has been our only monetary sponsor. Our external team is trying really hard right now, but everything that we've gotten has been in kind. I will have to double check in our group chats if you would give me a second.
While you do that, I'll move on to the other list. Simmer.
No worries. I think I'll wait for her to finish just because it's just asking her to clarify.
Okay. Okay. Sam? You could just use my mic.
Yep. I had a question around merch. What is the merch order for this year? As I noticed, it is one of the areas where you had the most significant reduction.
Yeah.
And I know we fixed cost in previous years.
I can send you guys a screenshot of our merch invoice in the chat if you would like. I have it right here. So we have lanyards and black tees as our two merch orders. Originally, we were hoping to also add water bottles because, like it's a day-long active event. If people forget to bring water, then we would have water bottles provided. But that was the biggest cost, and we didn't think it was super necessary. So we've cut down the water bottles, and we're doing the like $200 in lanyards and the $1K in t-shirts.
I assume it's back to my list.
Correct.
Sorry, I'm just having a little trouble understanding the way that this is laid out. So the total in the 6,000, is that the total it's costing you guys completely, or the total that you're asking from our budget?
It's a total that costs us. So if you look at the contingency fee, that's 566. We
Right.
can contribute that from our external funds.
Yeah.
And then that remains 5,668. We understand that execs can only approve up to 5,000. So SUS can contribute the remaining like 668 from core.
Okay, the 5,668. Okay.
That's written in the
Yeah, my only concern would be that like with the grants, how it works and how it's kind of worked with other groups as well is that for especially stuff like merchant stuff, we approve a grant in order to help the funding, but we don't cover the entire 100% cost. So my concern would be like, for example, for the merch, if it's costing you guys $1,500 and you're asking for $1,500, that's where it comes into a little bit of a concern. I do see you guys like decrease the cost by quite a bit, and that's really good. The main one that are just concerning me are the paint and cleaning and the merch. The others seem okay because, yeah, they're more reasonable, but would there be other means if we don't give you the money of you guys to get sponsors or like in-kind donations for like paint or merch and that kind of stuff?
I did want to clarify for the paint and cleaning, because we didn't have this set in stone yet, but this is most likely changing and we'll have to update it with our grant because originally this was for like a water-based paint fight, which we were told we're not allowed to do. So we'll be replacing that with the water gun fight, and that is not going to need another. That's like we're probably fine with the 350. As for the merch though, the only way that I've talked to our VP Finance and presidents that we could make up the cost is to just sell the merch. It's an option, but considering that other student groups most of the time are able to give out their merchandise for free at Frosh, we were hoping to have the same standard.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, yeah, no, that was just my only question. I just wanted to make sure that the total is like based on what is being spent. That's all.
Any other? I see a couple of other lists. Let me get to that. Cindy, and then Rishu, and then Sam.
I think Sam was before me.
Sorry.
I think Sam was before me.
No, I already got his list. It was about the merch. Yeah.
Yeah, just one thing is grants, and none of our funding guides or anything do we ever cover contingency. Just letting you know that. I think at your original request for your grant, we said 50% of cleaning and supplies could be covered.
Yes.
And just letting everyone in the room know right now that appeals for grants are supposed to go to FASC. And then if that fails in the absence of FASC, is supposed to go to council. So just reminding everyone of that process as well, because then otherwise all of the appeals would be coming here, and then we'd be significantly putting a dent on a budget that is really at the discretion of council and not specifically execs. So I think the reason maybe if we have done that in the past is because there was a long gap and we did not want you to have to wait before the next council meeting. I don't know if that's going to be the case this time, but I would highly recommend that this is something that goes through a FASC or through council as per our policies.
Catherine?
I just did want to mention that we had submitted the written appeal to staff, but we were afraid that that wasn't going to get back in time. And because the council meeting was canceled this week, we weren't sure if it was going to come on the first week of September, which would be quite late for funding.
Let's see. Rishu and then Sam.
Yeah, I don't know if you're still on this, but my concern with the sponsorship from Wiseprep was that if the money that we provide is like I'm pretty sure it's significantly more than what the sponsor will provide, I believe that we should have a higher representation on the merch than the other external sponsors. I feel like that's fair, because our end goal from this year at the end of the day is to improve the representation and outreach a lot, and I believe this would be an important step in that.
For sure, I'll
Yeah.
bring that back to our merch designer.
Okay. Sam, go ahead. Excuse my
I
mic.
think looking at this, and as someone who's run crushes before, been heavily involved in that process, it is a significant decrease. And as we were talking about in previous grants, this is a grant that for an event that is week long with the DSUs being involved. So I know that was some of the concerns presented before that we have less of. I do have the process concern around it coming to exec, which is what we did because FAST wasn't meeting and then council was canceled. There's going to be a emergency council meeting next week anyways. I think this is an option to give to SUS about how urgent they think the cost would be, whether the approval waiting the extra week will significantly detriment the working for SUS. And then I want to just clarify with staff in our finance whether or not the grant would be if we were to approve this, whether it be coming from 5,000 G or the Department 20 Council contingency.
No, this will be coming from 5,000 G. Depending on the amount, but I would probably recommend 5,000 G. Cindy?
Yeah, if it is coming from 5,000 G, then I would really, really recommend putting it through council.
Okay. Simmer?
I'm so sorry. I forgot what I was gonna say. Just give me like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You can move on until.
Okay. I was gonna make I guess maybe my suggestions or clarification. So from what I could see, I think it was Sindhu that mentioned this, but we do not cover what's it called? Contingencies. So from this, I could see the 566.80 kind of off the list for us. And then I think you mentioned paint and cleaning. I would also reduce that to 350 since the cost won't be needed.
Yes.
And then after taking out those factors and also including what SAS is able to cover, which is the $566 and then the $668. Once we remove all of that, I think that brings us down to roughly about 3,500, which is slightly above what was approved. So with that, I'm willing to push that through and just get you guys the extra up to 3,600 approved, which would be below 5,000. And with that, I'll be confident to take that through the executive line item instead, because it would be a short difference from what's already approved. So you guys will still get to keep the 3,195, and then we'll probably add an extra $500 or 400, whatever it adds up to. Because based on that, if we take out those parts, it's not up to 5,000. So I think with that, people will be more amenable to approving that for you guys. But that's how I see this. Simmer, I think you got your thoughts back.
Yeah, sorry. So, I just wanted to ask overall, I know that Frosh is probably one of your biggest events. What other events do you have that are upwards of like 3,000 that you plan on having throughout the year? And is there quite a few, or like what is that looking like for just your strategic plan?
Great question. The main big pillar events that we have is our annual winter formal, which in the past we've subsidized the tickets a lot. I know last year we asked for 13K, and we priced our tickets extremely low. This year, and last year that was for 175 attendees. This year we're hoping to rent a bigger boat that will be able to accommodate up to 225, and we'll be pricing the tickets higher. So we would estimate that the cost, not the grant amount, but the cost would be around 20K. And a lot of that would be subsidized using the ticket revenue. Not 20K. No, that'd be closer to 15K.
Okay.
The other annual event we would have is the Campus Cup that we're hoping to run back again. Last year helped substantially with the funding, but considering that they're funding extremely limited from CETO and they're not consistently approved for SFSS grants as much as our science student unions are, we estimate that the grant amount coming in from there, or the amount that we would be asking, is around 5K. Other than that, all our smaller events are usually a much smaller with asking grant prices of less than 2K. And we are hoping to have a more established ticketing system to help fund our grants. And our VP External is trying new strategies and kind of increasing his current arsenal to acquire more monetary sponsorships with the help of other of our VP External friends from other student unions who have had success in the past to better strategize for the execution of it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just asking just because like last year, I think up until February at least, you guys ended up getting toward around 27,000, just based on the grants alone. That's for all of us. So like this year, my plan was to try and reduce the spending by like certain percents for each, and also just being more equitable about it, just because I know that SUS is a larger union. They do ask for grants more, and that's of course like that's okay. You guys should be asking for grants every time you have an event. But if we're looking at like another 15K event and this as well, I just want to at least put it out there that the more we approve earlier on for stuff like Frosh, the more that it might be more difficult to approve later on, especially for like a winter formal that ends up being more expensive. I think I would agree with Emmanuel. I think I'd be okay to raise it a little bit more than the original, but straying away from that 5,000 just because 5,000 seems like it is going to be a lot. And could I just ask, you guys said it was 100 attendees for your Frosh?
Yes, but that's including both attendees and volunteers.
Yeah, so we've been having similar conversations with other student unions just regarding similar attendee sizes. And I think the lower amount would be just a little more fair given the activities and what you're providing, since mostly it is food and merch that's taken over. But yeah, I think I would also just agree. I had a question for Emmanuel though. When you're talking about taking it out of the exec line item, is that the council top up line item, or what is that regarding?
Correct.
Okay, and have we already promised to pull from that already?
What do you mean by promised?
Like, have we already granted that already? I feel like we already did once or twice, did we not? From that?
No, we haven't used anything from that line item.
Okay.
It's the council expenditure line item, by the way.
Cindy, that's different from the council top up line item, right?
No, it's the same. Sindhu, go ahead.
Yeah, so we reserved that for the same. And to clarify, it would be the difference that comes from the top up line item. So
the 500 around that.
Yeah, the approved one would still, part of it would still come from CG.
Just
Correct.
to remind it, yeah, I thought for some reason we'd already pulled from that for one of the other Frosh events, but I guess I'm wrong on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I think just to finish, I think I'd second with Emmanuel's recommendation.
Catherine, does that sound amenable to you? Just taking out the contingency plan for us and then reducing that paint and cleaning to keep it at the 350. And with that, we'll be able to approve up to your total grant that you'll be getting would be roughly around 3,500 or 3,600. And on paper, that seemed like it should work for you guys.
I had a few questions and then a response to that.
Yeah.
Going back to Rishu's question about the logos, our merch designer was currently planning to have it written out less so as a logo. I can send you a mock-up if you'd like to see it. And I had a question for Simar. I know that last year we got upwards of around 27,000 by February. I was wondering, just so we could plan out our expenses for the rest of the year, what do you expect SUS would be able to get from council or from grants throughout this year entirely?
That's a little hard to say right now. I can set up a meeting with you guys just to discuss that further. For reference, though, with all of the spending with all the student unions last year, we spent 173K actually, and then that was completely over budget. And this year, I'm hoping to lower that to nearly 125, so almost a 50K difference in just accepting those grants. And again, that's going to affect every single student union. Just because of the budget cuts that are going on our end and our financial position. So like at least around a 25%, I would say, reduction. And that's very like approximate in the air. That's not like something that's hard and written, but just what I'm kind of thinking of.
Okay, understood. Thank you. And going back to the amendment, I am really hope to drive in that we would need the 1,300 to be able to feed our attendees for the whole day with the amount of activities we're doing. I know CSSS's food budget was closer to 2,000 and they were approved for the full amount from council. I was hoping, if anything, we could get our full food budget approved.
I believe I'm keeping the full budget in mind, if I'm correct.
That would need another 800. The difference of the food currently is $800, and that's what we're really hoping to get in.
Right, but I'm using the numbers that you have on the left side, which is the.
So just to confirm, I'm looking at the same thing. So your food budget is the 840 plus the 200 plus the 300. That's your total food for the week.
Yes.
Oh, from what I understand. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
Because there's currently zero in contingency. The 350 for paint and cleaning is enough for us. And from my understanding, we're not allowed to transfer things from one line item to another. We understand the merch. We would really appreciate to have more money, but I understand where council is coming from. And the difference in food is the 840.
Oh, I see. I just want to clarify. The total of 5,668.03, that does not include the amount you're covering from your the amount you're covering from your external and core.
Yeah, contingency is the 10% that's kind of covered in the pink circle right now.
I see. So that total, the 5,668.03, you'd be taking out the 668.30.
Yeah, the 668.30 we would then funnel into the merchandise to subsidize most of it. And then we'll try our best to get more sponsors, but with the event coming up in like less than a month, I'm not sure the capacity of our BP external.
Right, but I'm just clarifying that total, the 5,668.03, that's not included. Is that including, or has that already subtracted the 668.30?
No, not yet.
I see. Okay. because based on the math I did, I had included. Yes.
If we were to approve without merch, it would be an additional $1,323. If we were to approve with merch, it would be an additional $2,323. If we were to give them the total food costs. And taking out paint and cleaning additionally.
Sorry, give me a second. Cindy, you had a direct response.
Yeah, so I think mine was in relation to the food piece. I think something that we've done in the past is like, as you said, this was a multi-day event, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think we either do like 500 cap, and if you really needed that, then what we can do is have that cap per day. So I think there could be room there to have the cap for it to be 500 per day.
Mm.
So I think we have some room there that you can work with. So for example, like for the 200, that could be covered. But then, yeah, if it was like Subway the next day, only 500 of that 840 would be covered. So that's an option as well.
Appreciate that.
Sorry, I just missed the last bit of the conversation regarding the food. I disconnected. What was it regarding the food?
Yeah, so the recommendation I presented, I was subtracting an extra like
840.
Not 840, but on the right side of the screen, I was subtracting the 566.80 because I was assuming that's something they could contribute to their expenses. But from what I'm getting, that's not the case. And it's only this 668.30 that they can contribute to this, which leaves us with, if we were to give them the full amount for the food, that means they would need roughly about 1,400 extra for that, which would be, I guess, open to execs to decide if that's something we would want to approve from the counter expenditure line, or if we wanted to take the full, I'm guessing 4,000, for about 4,500 from the 5,000 G line item.
Okay. Well, regarding what Cindy was saying, I think that was something we kind of practiced, doing the 500 per day for these week-long things. I think that's where we can try and be a little more lenient, just because, again, food's a bigger necessity than, for example, merch and that kind of stuff. If you guys are open to making your food plan that way, we could look at giving you a 500 per day cap instead. And that would include like all the Costco, pizza, Subway, like whatever you're spending for that day.
Yeah, understood. That would be very much appreciated.
And I have to see exactly what that would bring us up to, but that is maybe where we can approve, and this is just my suggestion from the line item for like the exec line item. Sorry, the council line item.
And what would that total be? Because based on at least from what's on the screen with their current numbers for food, we would need to approve roughly about 1,450.
Yeah, because giving you the $500 day cap doesn't mean that you'd spend the $500 every single day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's around 1,340 that you guys are asking for total. So that's probably, if we're sticking to the same values, around what you'd probably spend, like 1,400 from our council line item. What are the thoughts on that from the other execs? Oh, sorry.
Sam,
Also, I missed a direct message that Rishu wanted to put the merch design. He asked for it in the chat, just to put it in the chat.
Yes.
Sam,
Looking at this, from what I see, painting and cleaning fee easily knocked off. But for most of the rest of it, it's a grant that has had a lot of revision within the science undergraduate society itself. You can see that they decreased the budget significantly from previous years. Something that makes sense. And this is, I know in our conversations last week, we talked a lot about events that were week-long or stay-long. And so I can see how we grant this one won't affect how we grant our opinions for the SAS grant. I cannot see that, but I consider this one a lot more analog to the CSSS grant. Cannot say the other word. Analogous. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. And for that one, we did approve the merch, which is what we wouldn't be approving here. So I can see it make more sense for us to approve the merch, and this one to approve it for up to, I think this one should get approved to like 4,600 would be what I'd feel would be the most honest between both SAS and CSSS. We're running pretty similar events. We don't want, my question would be, why does CSSS get t-shirts when SAS doesn't for a similar event? I also think that if we were to approve it for such amount, we shouldn't approve it for the amount here. We should take it to the emergency council meeting next week and also add that to the agenda there. Say that it came to exec because we didn't know that we were going to have a council meeting. When it came to here, we wanted to do it there. That kind of thing would make more sense to me. And I think would be better for our DSUs. It would still fit within the 25% discount, 25% cut based on what was approved last year. Being that last year all 10,000 was approved, and this year would be somewhere closer to 4,600. And it would, and again, back to that merch thing, that would make it more equivalent.
sure. Is your recommendation from the top up or to take it from 5,000 G, the entire thing?
The addition from the 4,600, which would make it a approximately $1,300 addition from the top up. I'd like to seek further clarification from the finance and from Simmer on that one, because I was always uneasy around our current size of our top up.
Yeah, I'm a little, of course, concerned it's only the 10K out of the council expenditures. The only reason that I'm considering it is because it's a food cost. I'm wondering though, is there any way that the pizza, I know that is it Papa John's or like Uncle Fatty's, that we have some sort of partnership that gives us cheaper pizza?
We looked into it. Uncle Fatty's and Domino's are around the same price. They're both on campus. The other thing is we know that everyone always has Uncle Fatty's, and we wanted to at least provide some sort of variety.
Okay. Yeah, Sam, the only reason that, like, if that answers your question, that I'm considering the council top up this time is just because it's regarding the food cost. But I don't want it to be excessive either.
Yeah, Chloe?
Okay, sorry. So can just run through the facts one more time. We have the ability to prove this today.
Sure.
yes, there's an emergency council meeting coming up, but we're gonna have the exact same discussion between the exact same probably amount of people with the addition of Jeffrey. So, and it's a difference of what, $400 from
No.
what we can approve?
No, the reason that we take it to council would be to more accurately follow the processes that are currently established. So,
But also to determine, but the other thing we're trying to determine is, do we proceed with the original amount that staff recommended for SUS, and then just give them the extra difference that they're asking for, which is roughly about $1,400,
14.
and take that from our top up, which only has 10K in it? Or do we approve the entire 4,600 from 5,000 G, which is the grants line item?
I think at least the top up should be approved in council. My personal, I think my personal recommendation would be to just give it from 5,000
For
like we
everything?
did.
Sorry, could you speak a little louder and clearer? We can't hear you.
For everything?
Yeah.
So
there's going to be multiple DSUs coming up at different points. We did it for CFSS, and I think it's fair to just give it from the same budget to SUS as well.
So he's saying do everything from 5,000 G instead of using the top up this time, because it's similar to the CFSS one.
For that, sorry, go ahead, Chloe.
I'm just saying that instead of this conversation happening every exec meeting for 2-3 weeks in a row, that we should just clarify our process internally and then have that discussion another time outside of wasting the time of the DSU executives.
No, I think the process is clear. Actually, they did go through the right process. It was just because last week council was canceled and there's no fast meeting.
Wasn't
the only reason that they're here today is because FAST isn't happening.
What was the group that came to last exec?
SUS, because no SUS.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, these 2 weeks because
Same
the
issue.
meeting that was this Wednesday was canceled. We're gonna have an emergency Monday.
So it seems like regardless, are execs wanting to take this to council as opposed to approve it at exec?
Yeah.
I think that's going to delay it too much. We're already on the crimp, even a week matters for their planning.
Yeah.
Catherine, are you able to wait till Wednesday?
Well, yes, but considering it is like less than a month away, we need to get our merch orders in. Our execs would really rather approve it now than 5 days later, because our merch guy is like kind of like, for lack of a better word, on our ass.
Okay.
Those are just some of my suggestions. Taking in the approved 3195. Like Emmanuel said, this is what we originally discussed, and whether it comes out of the grant item or the council, we can discuss later. But maybe, not adding the food of 840, but discussing the $500 a day cap. I'm just keeping the 840 because I assume you're not going to use the full 500 a day. You would still use the amount you would use. That's just an option that's provided for you. Comes to 4,000. Taking out the 350 for painting, and I would try and take out as like more merch, of course, but I understand the need for merch. But that would be around like then 3,500, 3,700 is what we're at right now. Given that you are going to just be spending how much you spend, but we would be giving you the 500 a day as per policy.
Yeah. So
is the new total grant request the 4,035?
No, it's 4,035 minus either like 250 to 500 because I want to take out some of the merch as well. Not approving the full 1,500. So
and
that
that's
would be
understandable.
kind of a discussion just because I value the food cost because that's very necessary.
So what's the new total in grant request that you're suggesting, Simmer?
Around 3,500 to 3,700, depending on how much we want to cut for merch. And that is around like 1,000 over, 1,250 over the original approved amount from our team.
Sam?
Just as a side note to Simmer, can we talk more about the council top-up in FASC? The reason I bring up that'd be good to discuss it there is if we're wanting to slash the with the earlier piece about new goal, the 10K addition from the council top-up is also like money that would have been spent from the other line item last year, and so I think it'd be important to just discuss that separately, but that's just a note for the next finance committee meeting. Want to put in there?
Yeah.
Sure.
My recommendation would be just taking this out of 5,000 G, but then giving the consideration that I would be evaluating like how much you're spending as we go with further events. Again, like we're looking at 25 to 30% decrease in each union, given that you guys did spend around 28,000 last year. This would be, but I think this is your first grant, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is our first grant.
So yeah, I would suggest taking that out of 5,000 G, but again, like the other executives will speak on that.
Okay, and could you just give me the total again?
The total is dependent on whether we want to take out 250 or 500 from the merch. If we take out 250, it would be around 3,700. Let me just.
Could you take out 250 and give me the total amount?
3785, if my math is correct, and not using like the decimals, just rounding up.
Okay.
And then if
So
you do
instead
another
of
250, it's 3535.
so instead of the grant that was approved for 3,195, the new amount would be 3,785.
Yes, that's if we're only cutting 250 from the merch.
I think I'm okay with that.
Also, given that if we do, so can I just, Sindhu, could I get your opinion on this?
Sindhu's gone.
Oh no. Okay.
Wait, Cindy left?
Yes, she had to go somewhere.
Yeah, my only other piece would be whether we just straight away approve the 840 difference for the subway, or if we do the $500 per day, trusting that they would just spend what it would be spent. I don't know which way is more feasible. I think Sindhu would be better. Be here to answer that.
What was the option, Simmer, again?
So what we've done before for like week-long events type thing is we give them a 500 day per day cap, and that's 500 days for water, food, snacks, like the coffee, like dinner, lunch, everything, $500 a day. Sorry,
Okay.
is that Ron's talking?
Granted.
Sorry, I thought
Go
no,
on.
I thought he was talking to me. So we give them $500 a day, like 7 days, whatever. That doesn't mean they're going to spend that much. That just means it's what they're approved for. We could do that, but that would mean like if Subway is costing $840 for just one night of dinner, they're only allowed to spend $500 of that. Other days when the pizza is only costing $200, they would only spend the $200, not the full $500. Or we could just approve the $840 right off the bat right now, and then it would total up to around like $3,700, which is the approved amount from 5,000 G.
I think just give them the 840 because they already budgeted that.
Okay.
And it's a better option for us.
Okay.
And considering that, what's the new total?
3735. Let me just do the math one more time. So it's the 3195.30 plus 840 minus 350 from the painting and cleaning and minus 250 from the merch. Oh, wait, did I subtract something extra? Because that's.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because the 350 we were originally approved was half the painting and cleaning. We're no longer asking for another 350.
Oh, okay, that's my math mistake. I didn't. Yeah. So the 350 is included in the 3195.
Can I list?
Sure.
Yeah, so it's just the 3195 plus the 840 minus the 250, which gives you 3785.30.
Sorry, that's subtracting 250 from the 500 we were approved for merch.
Yeah. If we were to approve them instead of 1,500, 1,200 for merch, the way that we were gonna approve from the difference, we would instead of
okay. Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the approved
with a total of $4,785.30 based on my math.
Yeah.
That would also include not funding the glow stick line item.
Yeah, my apologies. The 3 lines are kind of confusing me when I'm doing the math.
So you want to work with the one on the left.
Okay, yeah, the one on the left.
The one on the furthest left.
Right. Okay, let's see what that would total up to then. So just working with that 5,668, everything kept in. The mocktail bar is subtracted based on what was approved, so that's minus that 150. The merch we're bringing down to like
Why are we minusing
1,000,
150? It was never
1,200.
approved.
We're
Why
not-
are we subtracting 150? It was never approved.
If we're not subtracting things that aren't approved, because if we just add the 3,200, that
Then-
gives us everything that was approved.
I'm
I think
working with the
I think you're doing the
5,668
math.
right
Okay.
now.
Sorry.
Yeah, go
That's
ahead.
why I'm subtracting.
Keep doing your math. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right now we're on the line item for merch. We're looking at 1,500 right now already in there, but we're thinking of subtracting like 250, I think is what we talked about right now.
Correct.
So minus that 250.
Yes. But if you're looking at the approved total, that's only 500 of merch that was approved.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
if you're looking at the additional expenses, I've tried to color them in to.
Yeah, and then for painting, cleaning, looking at the approved, we're subtracting another 350 because that was originally already taken off for approval. Currently at 4,900.
Speak with lower priority to anyone else.
And then, yeah, we're at 4,900, and then we're gonna take out like 132 right now to get back down to the 50. That's approved because I would stick with that suggestion.
We have a point of order.
Yeah, go ahead.
This discussion should be taking place during the motion, not during the presentation.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. I'm amendable.
Yeah. It's just
Go
like
on,
my
sir.
presentation. My motion is above the motion for this, and I've been waiting about an hour now.
I understand that. I wanted us to get through the preliminary discussion with the representative present. So when we get to motion, we could just approve it. But I do understand that. And I'll just conclude this and we'll move on. Simmer.
Yeah. I put it in the chat with the. I think Rishu's had a list though.
We should go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have an issue with the money part. I think we kind of have to give it to them at this point because we have approved it to the others in union. More of my issue is with the merch. I believe that we have a little too less of a representation. If we could do something a little like, I don't know, maybe like this. I put it in the chat. I think that'd be better for us because we're not only just a sponsor, we also are more of a parent organization, if that makes any sense.
How would you feel if we just put the logo at the bottom under September 24th?
I feel like our logo is not the best. I would say just
could
put
we-
like letters.
Could we discuss the merch design later? I want to get through the important part. And
Yeah,
just-
that could be.
you guys could figure that out later.
Okay,
but
that's
I want to
fine.
get through the money part.
Sam has a list.
Sam, go ahead.
Retracted, it was on the other topic.
Okay. So the new total that Simmer has up here is 4786.06. Catherine, does that sound about right?
That I would appreciate that very, very much.
Okay.
Okay. And are we thinking to take that out of 5,000 G?
So the next question to execs, which we could probably discuss in motion, is SUS has made it clear that they would rather us approve it today, just so they could move forward with their plans. So when we get to the motions, we could decide on, do we want to take this Do we want to have them maintain their grant that was already pre-approved of 3,095 and take out the difference from our top-up line item, or do we just want to approve the entirety of the 4,000 whatever from the 5,000 G? You could think on that, and then once we get to the motion, we'll decide how to go on with that. And Simmer, just
sorry, go ahead.
Just clarifying, this total, is this subtracting 250 for merch or subtracting 500?
So yeah, that's exactly what my next point was. It's 250. Me personally, just given like the financial issues of it, I would personally still stick with the 1,000, but approve the food, approve that kind of stuff, just because even for other unions, we kept the merch line item just a little lower.
Okay.
I know that one of the student unions decided to do something like give out the merch on the last day because that was a day that less people would be present. So it's not like people are feeling like they're not getting merch, but less attendees that attended get the merch, things like that. Yeah. Is there anything you can do like that would lower your merch cost?
Or I know you guys
merch to everyone, especially with the water fight and a lot of them getting wet. We want them to have a place to feel comfortable in. But all we can say is work hard for monetary sponsorships, and we can contribute a little bit more from core because we had originally budgeted 800 from core, and that's lower now because 2% of core is lower because the budget is lower. So we would most likely be able to accommodate around 800 for merch.
Okay. So what does that bring us just from the merch line? Originally, this 4,000 amount was subtracting 250. So it would be.
Could you subtract an extra 250?
Okay, sounds good.
And then put the new total in the chat, and then we would amend that once we get to the motion. And then maybe suggestion for Catherine. I know you guys are doing, I think, 2 different merches. If it's more easier, you guys might want to just stick to the t-shirts instead of t-shirts and lanyards. However that works out. But that's an option as well. But with the new total, I think I'm gonna assume most exec are gonna be okay with that. Which the new total is now 4,500-ish. So you could expect to hear back from us at the end of the meeting to see how that motion goes. But I believe it probably will go on. It just depends. We're just gonna have to figure out where we want to pull it from. But anyways, with that said, thank you for your presentation. You don't have to stick behind, but feel free to stay behind for the motion if you want to. Thanks, Catherine. With that, I will move on to reports. Management is not present. I don't know if executive have reports. I don't assume so. Anyone?
No.
Okay. HR does not have any. Old business. Okay, let's move on to this appeal. SAS grant appeal submitted by VP Internal. It reads, whereas grant 2053, number 2053 was approved for 2050, whereas SAS appealed the grant to the executive committee, be resolved to approve up to X in the grant funding from line item 500G. I move, and the second internal second. Floor is open for discussion. I believe where we're at last time with this, I really needed Cindy. Okay. I think where we're at with this item the last time, why did we post? Oh, right. We wanted more executive opinion. And I know, actually, SAS is here. Ayo, could you speak to this more? What was the amount that you guys were hoping to get out of this?
Okay. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm trying to pull up what I currently have. before I do get the details, because I'm not the owner of the file, I just want to talk about the fact. So we were told, um, as the SAS student union, we were told in one of our meetings that the amount that we proposed was not accepted, and currently we have approved 2050. So I wanted to clarify anything. I wanted to clarify if this meeting would be to top off that 2050 or to replace it.
I think that's for the executive to decide. I think my question is, what's the request?
List.
Sam.
Okay, so
Just to clarify on that question, because the end of where it's heading is, can you approve up to 7,000 instead of 5,000? Given this is one item, we can only approve up to 5,000, and my interpretation of our bylaws says that includes the money that's already been approved from the grant originally. I wouldn't say that we can go over 5,000 in total from originally approved and addition.
Correct. And what's the request, Ayo?
that's the main question, because over the past 2 days I've been talking with Henry in regards to finding ways to lower our cost, which is why I'm currently looking for like the old budget as is. But right now we're looking towards a food cost of about $2,000 to $4,000. That's kind of like the range we're working with as is, since it is the heaviest when it came down to the budget. As it stands, the entirety that was approved for the event is 2050, which we did discuss would not be adequate for the entirety of the event, the event. And the idea is to have a luncheon with professors in the afternoon, as well as another food service in the evening. So just recently, we just had discussions with various other people in regards to how we could reduce the cost of the luncheon with the professors and change what we're going to have on offer for the dinner at the evening. But since I'm not privy to the original, since I wasn't exactly privy to the original budget breakdown, I'm just trying to pull it up and see if I can deduce like the cost breakdown from there.
Okay. VP Finance, you should have this in your email. Are you able to find their grant request for SOS?
Yeah.
Actually, I think
Right. SAS or SAS?
SAS. Sorry, SAS.
SAS, right? Okay. SAS Fast Fest is the one we're looking at?
I believe so. Actually,
yes.
Sorry. I can share my screen. This is what we're looking at?
Oh, you have the presentation, so.
So 2050 is the original amount.
Presentation show the difference for each line.
Yeah, so 1,200. 1 second, I'm just gonna move this over. 1,200 total revenue, and then how it works is staff security 600. Their original was 600. We approved the full amount. Decorations, we approved 50 out of their original 100. Prizes approved 50 out of their original 500, just based on like in-kind sponsorships and what our policy is for approving prizes. T-shirts and hoodies approved 500 instead of the 600. And then AV equipment is 200 approved out of the full 200. Posters 150 approved out of the full 150, and that brings us to a total of 2050. And then food is, I think, what was not food is 500 instead of. And just to confirm, this is a multi-day event, right?
No, I
No,
think
single
it's
day.
one.
Oh, yeah. So then the food, yeah, that's why the food cap is $500 for the day, just for the 1 day event.
Yeah. Again, Simmer, just clarifying. This is the same one from last week, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is where the big difference lied. They wanted a $5,600 for food. We approved $500 per day.
Yeah. So we were more or less looking to increase the food budget from $500 to up to $2,500.
$2,500. Okay, it's $2,500. Can I just see like what are you guys looking at for lunch and dinner? Just
right.
out of
Which is $2,000 more, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's called like? Can I just? Is there a breakdown or something that's deciding the amount?
I'll be honest, as it stands, our planning only started recently because exams just ended, and most of our members are just transitioning from classes to no classes.
Yeah.
Okay.
A more complete breakdown will be available after Monday, which is when we hold our SAS meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I will
So,
speak to this.
okay.
No, go on. You could finish.
Yeah. So, this is more just a preliminary meeting here, and just in terms of like, this is what we have in mind for now. Because we weren't sure if there was going to be another council meeting anytime soon. But given that there's an emergency council meeting on Wednesday, I think we'd feel more comfortable with a more complete breakdown presented then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think I would be moving on this. We don't have a breakdown. And also that would be bringing us close to the cost that we're approving for events that are multi-day events. So, because that would bring you a total to about 4,050, which is close to other events that are taking place over a couple of days. Don't feel comfortable approving that without a breakdown. So I will move this motion to council next Wednesday. And then hopefully by then you guys have a breakdown of why you're needing $2,000 more for food.
No problem.
Okay, sounds good. Similarly, you could stop sharing and I will postpone this motion. Actually, I don't think I need to postpone it. I will strike it off and I'll strike it off and
Yeah,
just
I'm just striking it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we do have a postponed motion in council, so we can just bring it up then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will move to strike this off and the seconder. Have it internal. Anyone opposed? Seeing none. That is carried unanimously. The next item. The next item is the sus motion, I believe. Okay. The motion reads. Where is it? Yeah. Okay. The motion is whereas the Science Undergraduate Society plans to hold the Science Welcome Week of Welcome, in collaboration with 9 constituent departmental student unions to welcome first years and provide resources assisting the transition into post-secondary. Whereas Week of Welcome has historically been free admission for first years and SUS has reduced this year's expense by 37.5%. Whereas SUS will need financial support above what staff and admin has approved. Whereas SUS is requesting $5,000 to support this event. Be resolved that the SFSS executives approve spending up to $5,000 from line item 5,000G to go towards supporting this week-long event. I move. I need a seconder. Internal second. Floor is open to list an amendment. Right away, I'm going to list and amend this motion. To read. Actually, before that, I will open it up to discussion. for executives. Do we want to um approve the new total amount from 5,000 G, or are we okay keeping their approved grant and taking the difference from the top up line item?
Personally, I think just approving it. Sorry, we're talking about sus right now, right?
Correct.
I think taking it from 5,000 G is okay. With the reduced amount. I just want to bring up that just in the chat, like our iMessage chat, we were talking about the 4,500 approval. I think that the others want to do 4,600 just because the merch going up to 1,100 instead of the 1,000 I wanted. I'm okay to that, but I would be okay taking the 4,636 out of 5,000 G.
Okay. Any other opinions on this?
I'm in agreement with Simon.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, cool. I will move to amend the motion to now read motion. To now read be resolved that the SFSS executive approves spending up to 4,600 from line item 5,000 G to go towards supporting this week-long event. I move. I need a seconder.
List and friendly amendment. Or second. Can I change the total to 3,630 based on the additions, based on Simmer's math from the chat?
What's the 36.03? Is there a specific reason why it needs to be that amount?
Because that's the, I believe that's everything, including the, because before that, it came up to, the amount that we talked about before came up to 4536. Because when we were adding the extra 100, like the amount that had previously been calculated was 4536.
Sure. Yeah, so that should now read 4636.03. I move. I need a seconder.
I can second.
VP Equity seconds. Yeah.
Couldn't be 3-0. No, it's okay.
It says 03 in the chat.
It's
but
03 on their thing as well, I think, based on what her presentation said. We can also just round up or down, really.
Okay, I'm gonna make this read 4637.
That's fine.
I move. I need a seconder.
Internal.
A second.
Internal seconds. Anyone opposed to the amendment? Seeing none. That's carried unanimously. Now I'm gonna get us to vote on the motion itself. I assume there'll be no dissent, so I'm gonna proceed to seek unanimous consent on this. Okay, seeing none, this motion is carried unanimously. Moving on. There's no discussion items. Next is adjournment, but were you talking about a motion
I
or
thought you
something?
guys postponed my motion last week.
No, we striked it out because Sindhu had mentioned it could go through comms department, which doesn't need a motion.
It doesn't need a motion, I could just spend it.
Is it coming from the comms budget?
It'll be over the year annually allocated amount for that line item. It is a one-time expense though. So that is my rationale behind that. We haven't bought equipment for the department ever. So there is no really equipment expenses. It's under the like office supplies / expenses line. Yes.
Have you talked to Ilhan about it?
I don't need to. I can purchase equipment for her.
Yes, but would it make sense to talk to her around purchasing equipment for her?
I believe she's currently tied up with kickoff stuff.
But yes, I would say you should, because it's coming from our budget. Not for approval, but for
Venture knows what's coming.
Do it today, but yeah.
you need to order today. You could go see her. I don't know if she's in.
She's today or yesterday. I remember it's today or yesterday. That's Thursday day. Or just send her a text.
Don't worry about it. I will.
Okay. Any final words before I move to adjournment? Okay, seeing none. I wanted to end camera, but it's okay. I will probably move it to next week. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna move to adjournment. Thanks, Catherine. Bruised off to adjourn the meeting at 2:08 p.m. I move. I need a seconder.
Second.
VP Events seconds. Yeah. And anyone opposed? Okay, that is carried unanimously. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Yeah, you meant like you have to get her approval. It's just tell her to talk to her before purchasing.